OCD by Neil Hilburn uses repetition, tone, and reflection to really show what it's like to live in Neil's world and how OCD can affect people in their day-to-day lives and their relationships. If it weren't for these three elements, it wouldn't have been the same piece. Every choice he made in this poem was careful and on purpose. I admittedly have seen this performance many, many times. I think I started watching it in 2014 and I've seen it countless times since then. I understand how mental illness can affect relationships personally, whether not just significant others, but family and friends too. Over time, your unique quirks start becoming inconveniences and burdens, you know. As I said before, I am a big fan of Neil Hilborn's, and I've seen other works that he's done for poetry slams. I know he is a college national poetry slam champion, and he even graduated with his degree in creative writing. As I said earlier, I've seen Neil's work before. I'm a big fan of his. I've watched other poetry slams that he's performed. I know for sure that he is a college national poetry slam champion, and he even graduated with his degree in creative. The piece itself shows what OCD really is. It's not just cleanliness like most people know. It's all of the tics that come with it. It's knowing that something is irrational, but you believe it anyway. And Neil talks about the innocence of him falling in love with this girl. And unfortunately, she doesn't know, or not that she doesn't know, but she doesn't have the patience and understanding and empathy to care for someone with mental illness, with OCD. And sadly, she ends up leaving all of the things that she fell in love with the first place, his quirks or his little tics, ends up being the thing that drives her away, unfortunately. And it does get frustrating at times, so it's sad when someone does fall out of love with somebody with mental illness for those reasons. After analyzing the piece, there was a few techniques that I saw Neil Hilburn put into place that I really believe created the feeling around this poem. The repetition he used whenever he's talking about her, the shift in tone from being happy and bubbly in the beginning, and as soon as he notices a shift in her behavior, that's when the tone shifts on the entire poem of being in love and then falling out of love. And then the reflection on his repetition. Redundancy is fundamental, and it really displays how it feels in Neil's world while he's going through this, what he thought was so perfect in his life, and now that it's ending. So you get to feel that with him as if you're the one going through it yourself. Neil uses 3 examples of repetition, and it's when he's talking about her, the eyelash on her cheek, when she talked, and blows out the candles, and it kind of showcases that he's paying attention to her little details because he loves her so much. And the OCD, instead of focusing on something negative, he's focusing on her because he loves her so much. After the repetition, he immediately goes into explaining why he cares about her so much, or how it's important, and what she means to him. And he explains his behaviors throughout the entire poem, his tics, things that he does, how he asked her out multiple times, what he did on the date, what they do when they moved in together. And she adored him at first. So at the beginning, the tone was very warm and happy and sweet. And then when he noticed the shift in her behavior, because he paid attention to all those little details like the eyelash on her cheek, he could see obviously that she was falling out of love with him, and that changed the tone from in love to heartbreaking, because you could feel him going through this as well. And when she did leave, because of the quirks or the tics, he was forced to face his OCD because he loved her, wanted to get her back. So instead of falling into those habits, those repetition, those tics over and over and over, he was starting to leave the lights on. He wasn't locking the door in hopes to get her back. The 2 things I personally took away from this piece is, 1, Neil Hilburn is amazing and super crazy talented. And 2, I think we should all aim to write something raw and personal and genuine, something that shows ourselves in not the most positive light. Like on social media, we post our best versions of ourselves. I think in our writings we can be a little more real. I feel like if you're alone in situations like this, whether it's mental illness or you go through something in your life that you're not prepared for, it might be rare on a personal level, but across the board it's common. And maybe if you were to write something about it, more people will understand or resonate with you because you put yourself out there and you were so vulnerable. And I think we can all learn how to be more creative in that way. It's fun to write stories or make things up and create these fiction worlds, but at the same time, if you're just open and real and honest, I think people enjoy that too, because then they're like, oh, there's someone out there like me. And that's always comforting.